Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Donahue Burgess. I'm the Community Engagement Manager here at Tucson Bird Alliance. I'm joined this morning by my colleague, Grace Donahue. If you've ever been a part of our events before, whether they're virtual or in person, you know we start them all the exact same way, and that's by telling you about what our mission is. And our mission is rather simple. We're here to inspire people to enjoy and protect birds. We do that through recreation, education, conservation, and restoration. And today's going to be a really fun presentation. This is something too. I love that Grace is looking at this through kind of a different lens. So one of the things we always talk about, is that there's no one right way to bird. People are brought into birding through so many different avenues, whether it be, just out hiking. I got into birding through hiking. I was a hiker. I happened to look up one day and asked, what's that? And now here I am 16, 17 years later. So through some people, it's music, whatever it is, whatever brings people to birding, we're happy to have them. So I love having this different perspective. I hope you all are excited to hear it this morning. And with that said, I'll go ahead and toss it over to you, Grace.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. If you're here for Volunteer Appreciation Week, thank you for being a volunteer with us. Your work is really vital to keeping the organization going, so I'm glad that you're able to come on Zoom today. If you've been able to enjoy anything else also this week, we're glad to see you there. And there's still a Sweetwater Wetlands walk tomorrow morning. I need to see how many spots are still open in it, but I think there are a few. And if you're interested in that and it's closed, let me know. I think I had to close it 24 hours in advance for it to register as an event. Um, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Um, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sweet. If I start going to play sound at any point and you don't hear anything, please let me know so I can leave the presentation and play it as a saved audio file. Uh, it should work, but I just want to make sure. Okay, so this presentation is going to be on music and birdsong. I come from a background of studying music from a cultural perspective. I got my undergrad degree in folklore and ethnomusicology, and I had an emphasis in ethnomusicology, though I do want to state that I'm not an expert in music and birdsong by any means. My primary focus when I was in my undergrad was on country music, race, and genre, and then Indiana, like folk tradition. So I had a couple classes on environmentalism in music, but birdsong wasn't like a huge focus or a hugely developed aspect of the field yet. So um, just uh, please enjoy what I'm saying, but a lot of the research has been done relatively recently, and I am looking at it from more of a historical perspective. So we won't be like diving into this like it's a college lesson, but without further ado, see. Thus, birds instructed man and taught them songs before their art began. I just thought this was a good quote to start with. I want you guys to kind of think about this question as I'm going through the history of birdsong's use in music. What makes something music? I feel like this is a classic like ethnomusicology question to ask and discuss. It was really something I feel like was heavily talked about in my undergrad. But a lot of people don't necessarily consider birdsong a form of music because it's like a necessity for them and it isn't music in the sense of like human creativity in the way that we make music. But I think right now we're seeing a lot of debates of what can really be considered music with the use of AI in music and the use of like other sounds in music. People still debate if they would count like electronic music as actual music versus like classical versus rock. Throughout all of history, there's been times when like new genres have been developed that people have been like, well, I don't consider that music, but um, who's to define it really? So should music be something that's only human made, or can it be considered with other species or other environments? But we're going to be looking mainly at how birdsong has been utilized in human made music. So first, we'll look at birdsong and the flute. Birdsong itself has been connected to a lot of different like cultural storytelling and mythology over the years. On the right, you'll see this picture. It's of a siren, which while you may picture a siren as like a mermaid, like a beautiful mermaid, they actually were bird-like creatures, and their song would like bring people in, and then they kill them. And that was the whole thing. But it's interesting because they are these like bird-like creatures, and while they're not directly producing bird song itself, it kind of mimics it in that way. So I just think that's an interesting like mythological perspective of that. There's a lot of other cultures that have it too. There are actually so many ties to birds themselves in mythology and bird song that I am not going to have time to go through them all, but I feel like that's a common example I wanted to share. The flute itself has specific ties to bird song in a lot of different cultures. I'm going to focus on two in the next slide. So the legend of the flute, it's a Lakota legend about a man, and he was hunting an elk, and he was in the woods, and he kept trying to get this elk, and he really couldn't get it, and he was following it deeper and deeper and deeper into the woods, and then he got lost, and he was just kind of like discombobulated, turned around in the woods, and realized would have to stay the night there. So he laid down next to a tree, and right before he fell asleep, he heard a new sound he'd never heard before. And then when he fell asleep, he was in his dream, and a woodpecker appeared to him and told him, "Follow me, and I'll teach you what this is." So he followed this woodpecker, and it took him to a cedar tree where it had like a hollowed out, pecked out flute. And he gave the flute to the man, and the man took the flute back, but he couldn't figure out how to play it. He didn't understand how the bird was making sounds on it. So he fell asleep again that night, and the bird appeared to him again and was like, "Okay, here's how you make the flute, and here's how you make sound out of it." And then the man was then able to play the flute, and he brought it back to his village, and everyone was very impressed with the song. It kind of is also a tale of like love in a way, because when he was going to hunt the elk, that was like a pride of manhood, and was to say it could help you like attract a woman in your village. And now the flute kind of took place for that. Also, there's the Huitzilopochtli. It's in Aztec, what we would kind of view as an ocarina. It kind of has a bit of a dual purpose. A lot of the ones you see like historically look like birds, but also ones that look a bit more like a traditional flute. They play this song. You guys hear that?
Yeah, we heard it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. In that song, scholars, like some believe that it was used while they were hunting, and they would play it, and then they would be able to then hunt birds from playing that song. So it's this mimicry of bird song. Same thing with the flute, and the legend of the flute is the song that he originally heard was being made by the woodpecker and then reproduced through the flute that the woodpecker then showed him how to play. Okay, we're going to jump ahead quite a bit now, and look at birdsong and classical music. Composers as early as the 13th century were mimicking bird songs in music. There's a bunch of popular classical artists who tried to recreate birdsong in their pieces. They'd use a bunch of different methods to do so, not only just playing it, but like scratching strings or kind of like banging on things, just depending on what bird they were mimicking and if it was actually their song or the wings flapping or whatever it is. So I'm just going to play a few pieces and talk about them, and you can kind of hear like the differences in how birdsong is approached. If you can't hear the next stuff, please let me know. This is the stuff I'm worried is copyrighted. So if you kind of hear that at the beginning and the end, he's using a flute, an oboe, and a clarinet to mimic. The flute is a nightingale, the quail is with the oboe, and the cuckoo's with the clarinet. Um, I just think this is a really beautiful piece. This is part of the second movement, if any of you are interested in listening to it afterwards. But Beethoven in particular was really interested in like how to capture the sounds of nature in his pieces, but this piece in particular really like captures bird song in a way. And I like how it's like they're kind of layered over each other and you can like it's really clearly a bird. Um, the next piece is a bit more aggressive, just a warning. That's Revea de Wazoo. Sorry if I botched that. Olivier Messiaen. He did a movement on seven different birds and looking at their sounds. I just like this one because it's a very aggressive contrast to Pastoral Symphony, which is like very peaceful in nature and is like something I feel like you go sit outside and relax to, while this is like, okay, these animals also make like kind of like loud and aggressive noises, and it's a lot more up in your face. So I'm not even sure which bird is actually being referenced in this piece, but I also like it. And the next piece, it's less directly mimicking birdsong, but rather a song kind of about a bird. And I think it's a classic piece, so I just wanted to include it, talk about it a bit more. This piece is not technically known for mimicking the song. However, it is about the swan song, which is like the metaphorical, like last beautiful song that a swan gives off before it dies. It was kind of a popular theme in Greek myth. Um, it's just big last gesture before it passes. So I think it can definitely be interpreted in a way where you are like, okay, that like main theme going on is the swan. It is doing its last call before it passes. Okay, I'm going to skip again further ahead. We're reaching like 60 years ago now in music. Um, Birdsong in modern music, as technology has advanced, music itself, instead of necessarily being mimicked, actual like field recordings of birdsong were placed in a lot of music. Um, it's mixed with ambient music for relaxation a lot of times now, which I'm not going to play a piece like that, but I think that is a similar tie into Pastoral Symphony, which is like this relaxation and this like bird song played in with like calming music. And like this now, like ambient music with bird song and nature sounds is stuff that you would hear in like a yoga studio or getting a massage, or if you're trying to like be zen in your own home. But I wanted to highlight three songs. The first one, it's a classic. Everyone knows this one.
Get out night, take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise.
Obviously, this is, I would say, probably the most well-known song that utilizes birdsong of anything. Like, I feel like this spans generations. Everyone knows this piece. What's interesting is this piece was it was supposed to be written for the Little Rock Nine and kind of acknowledging civil rights, which we'll see in further when we talk about like current day birdsong and its usage. It will be used a lot more now in forms of protest and forms of like environmental activism. So it's interesting to kind of see how this tied into activism of a different time, still utilizing that bird song. Okay, so next piece. That's probably my favorite song that includes bird songs. I had to include it. I think it's kind of what spurred me to want to look into this more, as I was like listening to the song when I first moved here because the Eagles were very like Tucson to me. And I just loved how this piece is like using again this like aggressive bird song and then it pulls it into banjo and it's like this like country and rock and like bird sound contrast. What's funny about this piece is like the Eagles since then have kind of said that they view it as corny and that it was their producer's decision to add in the bird song. It wasn't actually theirs, but I feel like it's really what makes the piece because I didn't like I feel like the bird song that you're hearing really like ties in so well to the music in a way that I didn't think it was going to work when I had first heard it and was like, it only starts with birdsong and you're like, okay, what's happening? The next piece is a more like experimental piece that I'm probably not going to play the whole thing up because it's a lot, but it starts with a cuckoo. What I do like about this is that it has actual birds like song at the beginning, but then I think the piece kind of continues to mimic it throughout, even though they stop using the bird song. And it kind of goes back to that mimicry that was common in classical music where they were mimicking it, but also like layering on top of it the actual sounds of the bird. Okay. So what does relationships between birdsong and music look like today? This music's all like that was all like 30 to 60 years old. So today it's changed a little bit. Um, Briefly, I'm going to mention ecomusicology. This is kind of a subset of ethnomusicology, which this is the study of relationships between music, sound, and the natural environment. Often people who are utilizing ecomusicology, they're highlighting environmental sustainability, activism, eco-criticism. A lot of the times when I had classes on it, it was how protest music was utilized in places that had been affected by like environmental devastation. So it is very much like a newer field. I think the first conference or like event held for it was in 2012. So it's very new, though people have been studying the environment and music's relation and like sound ecologies for a long time. Ecomusicology and birdsong in particular, I feel like is also new. It's again something that's been studied, but not necessarily, I feel like, from this like activist perspective as much until relatively recently. At least I was struggling to find a lot of academic stuff of it. Obviously, I don't have access to academic resources as I once did as a student, but it is an evolving field. So just keep it in mind a bit. Um, One thing to look at is NPR recently put out an article about this album called A Guide to Birdsong of Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. It's an album featuring a DJ called Robin Perkins, who's known as the Owl. And it's a bunch of different composers and DJs and environmental activists who are utilizing field recordings of bird songs with music. In doing this to marry worlds of activism, conservation, birdsong, and music. And in doing this, this album, the funding will go towards those endangered species that they're raising awareness for. And the music's really fun. So I'm going to play a next piece. The bird in this is the black-capped bird. Just a really interesting way in my view to capture birdsong, especially of species that are we need to have heightened awareness of. And it's a good way, I think, to reach different people, because that's a song I feel like that my friends would listen to and jam out to. But if you were like, oh, there's this added layer to it, it might like spur some more action in them. Um, Again, kind of following this theme of protest music, there was a movie that came out a few years ago called Sonic Forest. This I did actually study in the school, so I know a bit more about a group of artists who came to Colombia and were talking about the deforestation there in the rainforest. And this film was made kind of utilizing the field recordings of the natural environment there. And then this group, Bomba Stereo, they're a Colombian like electrotropic band. They were on Bad Bunny's 2022 album. They're really good, but they were the people who mixed a lot of the music for this piece using these field recordings. And it's a really good film. It's available for free on YouTube. I really recommend people look into it. And it's not only going to be birds that you're seeing, but it's a cool look into how much sound can be made in the natural environment in general. I think a lot of us probably hear stuff and assume it's only birds, but there's so many other things that are going on. But yeah, I'll play a quick piece. And finally, some of you might have seen this. It was in Audubon's most recent like magazine issue, but there's this group called Nature, and I unknowingly had their music saved until I was doing research for this, but they remix popular songs or lesser known artists and their music with sounds of the natural world. And half of those royalties go back to conservation. So it's similar to that group that the DJ the Owl was a part of with the Black Catbird, that they're remixing these songs and giving funding from like the royalties they get back to conservation, which is very good. I
Hey,
wanted to include
Grace.
this in.
No,
Yeah.
sorry. Can you? What was the name of the one that you just brought up again? The one that used the black catbird. Do you know the name of that band?
Um,
Somebody was asking.
I can look it up. I
Okay,
don't know it off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
no worries. And
It's
Jason asked
spelled.
that question. We'll share it. Like again, everybody. We'll
Okay.
send out a wrap up email, and so we'll have the links to these artists in there, so that way you can get
Yeah.
them. Okay. Sorry to interrupt, Grace. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Totally fine. I know. I was like, I realized that. I was like, I should have made kept a list of all the songs, but I'll share it with everyone when this is over. Um, but yeah, the next song is from the artist Hosier, which one of my favorite artists. I feel like a lot of people have seen him, but he already has like a like almost like mythical appeal in the way his music is made. But I remember this song remixed with nature coming out, and I just saved it and was like, sweet, a Hosier song with nature sounds behind it. This is awesome. And then I didn't realize until literally like 2 weeks ago that streaming that was going to be benefiting conservation. So I'll play a little piece.
What did you bury before those hands pulled me from the earth? I will not ask you where you came from. I will not ask, and neither should you. Honey, just put your sweet lips on my lips. We should just kiss like real people do.
Yeah, I think that kind of comes now to ask the question, what does the future of birdsong and its relationship with music look like? Birdsong itself is changing, it's evolving with climate change. Birds in general, beak shape, body size, density versus openness of the habitat all influence their song, but they've been altering their song in responses to their environment. They've noticed shifts in frequencies to avoid interference, and when they're in like urban areas as well, specifically with sparrows, they've noticed that their frequency has changed to kind of counteract sound pollution. So I think it's really interesting to kind of keep an eye on that. also with habitat loss, obviously there's an extreme loss in birdsong in general. I remember being in a class, I think it was my environmental science class in like 2019, and we did a accidental like sound ecology study, which was fun, but on how an area that was recorded, the birdsong was recorded before they cut down all the trees, and then what it was like after. Obviously, there's a devastating effect. Anyone can kind of conclude that, but I thought it was a really interesting way to view it was to look at it through the use of birdsong and how impactful it was just in enjoying nature and being outside and hearing nature when you cut down a bunch of trees, and not only are you like devastating these animals, but you're also losing your experience of the natural environment. So yeah, I'm kind of curious for people. I'm happy to answer questions. I, again, am not an expert in this, so I may not be able to answer them for you, but I do want to know what you think about kind of defining music too. I would probably argue why not include birdsong, but I feel like I take a pretty broad perspective on a lot of things. When I did my senior thesis on country music and genre, at the end of it, I just was like, is genre real? I don't think so. So I also say with music, I don't know if we're letting people stream music that's made from AI, why can't birdsong be viewed also as music? So that's my thought. But yeah, I'm curious what people think, and yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Okay, I'm gonna open the chat too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Grace. That was wonderful. And yeah, like you were saying, I think it's great because, you know, people birders come to birding through all different avenues. And I think sometimes too we don't even realize what we're influenced by, you know. And I think that yeah, a lot of music. And what the other thing I thought was really neat was I guess you were saying it was around 60 years ago when instead of essentially mimicking birds through the music, we started inserting birds into the music,
Yeah.
which was kind of a cool evolution of it. But no, that was really great. And let's
Jason, I'm gonna find that song right now. Give me 1 second.
okay. While we're waiting for Grace to, does anybody have a favorite bird song of their own?
Yeah, I was
I
wondering,
am.
like, mine is definitely that song by the Eagles, but I'm like, or I guess Real Birds. I was gonna say, what's your favorite bird song, and then your favorite song that may have birds influenced or within it?
Well, I'll volunteer first. My I would say my favorite actual bird song is a Canaan Wren. My favorite birdie song, Rockin' Robin, Tweedly Diddly Dee. That would be my answer.
That's a good one. I'll chime in too if you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my favorite bird and favorite bird song of those tend to just change with the wind, but I heard my first Lucy's Warbler like in the neighborhood yesterday, and so that one's the favorite right now. And I don't think I could choose just one bird song, but for my 30th birthday, my friends and I coordinated a birdie 30 birthday party, and it was a swing dance. And virtually all of the songs were bird themed. So I'll see if I can get that playlist and share that link with you all to add in the bird music connection.
Well, we would really love that too, especially Hallie, because just to kind of give y'all a peek behind the curtain, one of the things that Grace and I have been talking about too about doing in the future was doing a karaoke night, a bird song themed karaoke night. Um, yeah, because again, you know, I mean, look, birding's a lot of fun, right? I mean, there's all kind of different ways to do it and different ways to bring people in. We think that'd be a lot of fun. So, yeah, please share that checklist with us because that was one of the things we were doing when we were talking about it. We were trying to come up with the songs that we would have available for that night. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I do think this
I'll find out right
is
now.
All right, awesome.
I think this is a cool way for new birders to maybe get into birding and bird song. Like, I mean, I would have to look up the birds in a lot of the pieces I just shared, but um, I'm a new birder, so it's interesting for me to find like connections through other sources as to how to like, okay, this is how I can get into birding. It's like, oh, I mean, honestly, like truly, I had been listening to that Eagles song before I even like applied for this job, and then I was like, oh, there's this bird song. It's like perfect. Like I feel like it was really funny, and it's just cool to kind of see like things go full circle.
That is awesome. Let's see.
My favorite bird sound is the hermit warbler singing. I just think they're very melodic. And then my favorite song is Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks about the white-winged dove.
Classic.
Is that the name of that song?
I just looked it up because I did not know
Just
that.
like the world we sing the song. Oh, okay. I know the song. I had no idea. Yeah, I would know. Never have found that. I love it. I have to give an honorable mention too to the hermit thrush. I said canyon wren, but hermit thrush, and I was so happy. I did a piece of research. I lucked into being right. Y'all ever do that? You ever kind of just you say something and it turns out you lucked into being right about it? I was talking to people. I said one of the reasons I love the hermit thrush is that it has this very kind of echo quality to it. And I learned they have two sets of vocal cords. So they are
Yep.
able to create that on their own. And so I was like, whoa, I was kind of right. Didn't know why or didn't know how. But yeah, that was a really fun one too. I love the old hermit thrush.
What I thought was cool, but I like didn't want to talk about it because I couldn't find a ton of stuff about it, is that there are some people who think that like early humans partially learned to speak because of hearing bird song. But I was like, I saw like one article and I was like, I need more to back this up before I say anything. But I do think that like just even the human speech connection is pretty cool. And now it's like everything advances into music, but it was very, yeah, it's a cool topic.
You know what? I never had ever thought about that, but as soon as you said it, I mean, it does kind of make sense that if you do not currently have sounds or words and you are hearing things in nature, it's only natural that's what you're going to kind of mimic
Mhm.
or you're going to at least build it off of. So, all right, Grace has promised she's going to do more research on that and, and let us know. Yeah, the common loon's a great one, Jason. So, I don't know if it's me assigning it to it, but it's such kind of an ear. It always makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up when I hear the common loon. It's such kind of an eerie, but beautiful sound for sure.
There's I have to look it up. There's one. This was like way before. This was when I was still in Indiana. I remember like I was getting into birding because I had owls in my backyard, but I was like obsessed with my Merlin ID app and getting my bird of the day. But I also would love being like, what are the birds that make the weirdest sounds? And forget which one it is, and it sounds like R2D2, like it sounds like a robot, and that would probably be my favorite, but I have to find it. And there's also some Brazilian one that like I feel like it sounds like you're gonna die when you hear it, and it's like very
Uh,
unsettling.
well, I guess another one of my favorites that really, actually, the call has been assigned the Morse code is the whiskered screech owl. You listen to a whiskered screech owl, and it's Morse code. Doo 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 doo. So yeah, so it's always cool to kind of see those overlaps, and yeah, like you were kind of too. You wonder, well, I guess we didn't influence the birds, but you wonder how much that was influenced,
Yeah.
even subconsciously, by the sounds that we were already hearing in nature. Yes, the European starling is the R2D2.
Yep. Yep.
Whippoorwill, that's always a fun one too. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill.
This thing, I don't know how to pronounce this. Can you see this? Oh wait, one
Uh,
second.
oh, your
Uh, you,
screen's blurry.
I blurred my screen. It's a capuchin bird. Let me play it. It's in pretty sure it's in Brazil.
We can't hear it. Is it playing?
Yeah, can you hear it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, whatever. I'll share it. It's like almost sounds like a cow, but also sounds like death is upon you. I don't know. It's really weird, and it's just like I would love to see people do music with like a weirder bird sound than like a sparrow. Like I want them to get like crazy with the choices.
Yeah, that's double-crested cormorants. Yeah, that's a good point too. There's so many too. Yeah, very kind of dinosaur. It's the uh, Roadrunners will have that a little bit, kind of that croaky, very, very guttural almost kind of sound.
And
Uh,
they look like dinosaurs too.
well, yeah, they're not far away. Well, that's wonderful. Well, I tell you what, if anybody has any other questions for Grace, feel free to just share any story that you have about bird song and how it's influenced you or anything
Mhm.
like that. We love hearing that. Um, I just want to make sure I haven't missed any. Oh, see, I missed something by Iris. Sorry about that, Iris. Being a violinist, Ralph Vaughan Williams, The Lark Ascending for Solo Violin. That is a piece I am unfamiliar with.
It's a beautiful piece. And also, many moons ago, I was a former music teacher and
Nice.
for elementary school before I got laid off back in New Jersey. And the children associated bird songs with music. So that got me into birding back then. So, yes, I mean, that's a beautiful piece and I learned it. And it's it is very, and also the Pastoral Symphony by Beethoven. I'm a classical violinist, so that's
Well, I did not know that, Iris. But again, like it's a great point where, like
oh,
you were saying, about how we all come to birding through a different avenue.
mm-hmm.
We all have different stories to tell, different perspectives to bring to it. Uh, I love that. I'm gonna try to see if I can get that piece up. Vaughan Williams, Lark Ascending.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm in the car, otherwise I would bring it up. But,
Lark Ascending. I bet I can get it up.
yeah.
There we go. All right.
This is the garden hose nozzle. My team spent 3 years
It
building.
just happened to me.
Forgot about the ads. Can y'all hear this?
Yeah.
You may have to share it here.
All right, let me try. I'll share my screen. Can y'all hear that?
It's quiet, but I can hear it.
Okay. Yeah, that's gorgeous. All right, I didn't know how much I could hear that, and it was 14 minutes long, but I'll give it a listen more later, Iris. But that is gorgeous, and I'd love to hear about your past. I had no idea that you were a classical violinist, so I love to hear that. Well, sorry we couldn't. So, oh, you talking about that last song right there, Jason? The Lark Ascending that y'all play? That's awesome. Jason says they play that on KUAT.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Excellent. Well, I'll tell you what. Oh, yeah, classical 90.5. Wonderful. It's always funny too. That's I'm not, I'm not very learned when it comes to classical music, but I do enjoy it. And what I like about it is that it's usually what I find myself putting on when I don't want to think. I mean, I'm not saying think. I don't want to think of. I don't want to be the DJ because I know I can just put it on and it really kind of takes me to kind of a nice place. So I love to hear that y'all are playing that. Hopefully, maybe we'll hear it on there soon. But I tell you what, everybody, we'll go ahead. Unless you have any other, questions, again, please feel free to either unmute yourself and ask them or put them in the chat. But the other thing I tell people is, so again, I'll send out a wrap-up email here in a little bit later. It takes me some time to upload it. But as soon as I get that done, I'll send out a wrap-up email to everyone. And I'll also, of course, CC Grace on that as well. And so if you're anything like me, I'm sure as soon as we end this meeting, something will pop up and you're like, oh, I should have asked that, or I was thinking about this. Like I said, you'll have both of our email addresses, so please feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you have. And again, I just thank everybody for being here. Like Grace mentioned at the beginning, this is part of our Volunteer Appreciation Week. And, just to speak on volunteers for a bit, they are the backbone of our organization. We could not do a fraction of the things that we do without our volunteers. It would not be the organization today without them. So we hope that y'all appreciate this small token of appreciation that we're trying to show y'all. And again, just to Grace, this was Grace's first presentation. I thought it was wonderful. And again, like I was telling her earlier, I love the different perspective that it brings to it. Because again, like we learned with Iris, like we learned with Jason, or Hallie or Peggy, bird lovers come from all different avenues, and we all have different interests. So I love this presentation, Grace. I hope you give us more like this in the future. But with that, I always like to ask at the very end, I know we're doing it in the chat, but I like to hear the voices. So as we sign off here, if everybody would just unmute yourself and thank Grace for giving us a wonderful presentation this morning.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And again, thank you for being here, and thank you for helping us fulfill our mission of inspiring people to enjoy and protect birds. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go see some birds. All right. Bye-bye.